So family members, we all have, to some extent, we all have some kind of family, whether our given family or our chosen family, and we all have our own role within our families, right? Some of us are the overachieving first child, or nervous first child, or the baby who gets away with everything, or the person who's always taking initiative, or the person who's kind of always behind, or whatever the role is. We all sort of have our roles. And so it's important to think about what our family roles were growing up and how we can maybe change them for the better for caregiving. So trying to basically separate your loved one's needs from your own. And what does that look like? Making sure that let's say it's for your parent, putting your parents' wishes ahead of your own, or maybe you and your siblings have different ideas about, what your parents need, or what they should have, or for example, maybe I believe that our parents' condition is worse than my sister does, or what their capabilities are less than what my sister does. Oh, mom and dad can still do this, or mom can still do this. Well, no, I think she can't. Or and have they taken care of all the financial decision making and paperwork, or do they have financial issues? Are they unresolved? How are we dealing with estate planning? Siblings may have certain differing ideas around family inheritance, if there is one, and who deserves what, and how that's going to get passed down. If it is going to get passed down, do the parents or parent, do they have an idea about how they want to spend their savings if they have it? Maybe they're going to pass it along to their children. Maybe they're planning to sell their home and use that for their old age care. These are conversations, again, not one-time conversations, very emotional conversations, but really important to have, so that, and I'll get to this, when there is a crisis, we have those things in place. It's not a typo. I have listed the next sentence twice. So again, communication, listening, and flexibility. We need to try to be as open as possible, try to listen as much as possible and not lecture, and try to be as flexible as possible. These are times and these are topics when we tend to get very rigid in our ideas and our beliefs and our stances, and it doesn't serve us. So how do we do this? Well, talking and also listening, like I mentioned. So trying to really put yourself in your parents' shoes, prioritizing your parents, again, if we're talking about parents' wishes and their dignity above our own, right? And trying as much as possible to have an open mind, trying to reach a consensus on at least a few things, trying to share info instead of lecturing. Again, this is a process and it's difficult, but it is possible to have a positive outcome. Researching the options. So what services and interventions does your parent need? What do they already know about? What do you know about? What do they even want, for example? Are there organizations and resources that are already available in your community that can help you and them? Does your parent have a very specific opinion about wanting to stay in their home or moving to a facility if and when that time comes? How much would that cost? Do they have the financial resources for it? What can you afford? What can they afford? How is that all going to work? I probably should have highlighted the next one, plan ahead before a crisis, right? So we tend to just avoid, and it'll just work out somehow. And that's when it gets very difficult. So again, having the paperwork in place, the Advanced Healthcare Directive, a durable power of attorney, making sure that not only you've lectured your parents on making sure they have that in place, but for you as well. And for all of us, we don't know exactly what's going to happen in our own lives. So trying to get that set up now rather than when a crisis occurs is really smart. Again, being flexible. You'll see these recurring themes, being flexible. So our needs are always changing, whether we're 30 or 60 or 80. And we don't know what's going to happen always. So trying to kind of roll with the punches, just take that roller coaster ride as it comes, but being prepared. So what we plan for may not always come to pass that way, but at least being prepared and knowing that, hey, things may change and we need to kind of go with that as they do. And also being honest. So if you're a caregiver, you're the primary caregiver, and it is becoming too much before it gets to that crisis point, talk to your family members or talk to your community or your friends to get that support before things kind of blow up.